There we go. And joining us from the MLB Network now is Mark DeRosa. Mark, welcome. How are you?
I'm doing great, Mike. How are you?
Good, thank you. And, everyone has been crediting Pedro Martinez for Severino. Now we can blame Pedro Martinez for make sure you blame him for Severino now after yesterday's performance. Okay.
I think it's a classic case, Mike, and I think it's something that needs to be addressed in the Houston-Boston series. The regular season is a completely different animal than the postseason, and you watch Severino, his mechanics were off. He was nervous.
He was nervous. He was scared to death. Somebody told me he was scared to death before the game. So, I mean, listen, that happens, guys.
Yeah.
Right? He's a young kid.
And they got past the game, and he'll be better for it when he pitches in whether he Game 2, Game 3, however they match it up. But that's something I'm looking for with Chris Sale tomorrow. Is he going to try and strike out the world, or is he going to be able to temper expectations and be willing to walk a guy in a big spot and pitch to outs in the lineup?
And what an amazing turnaround for Verlander. Huh? I mean, Verlander, a new lease on life, went there. And I got to be honest with you, I don't think I would have made that trade. I mean, taking all that salary, hasn't pitched that well. And look, he's pitched lights out.
He's been down. If you really go back, I mean, he had a tough team to play with in Detroit the last couple of years. He has not lost a step off his fastball. And inside information, because I got a lot of buddies on the Houston Astros, he has changed the dynamic in that clubhouse, a clubhouse that was already rolling, just kind of taking a lot of those pitchers under his wing, the Keuchels and McCullers of the world, and just has done a phenomenal job.
Yeah, he could be the difference for them. Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, having a guy who's got a new lease on life, that really makes a difference, and he clearly hasn't lost anything. No question about it. How surprised were you? And tell me what the Twins are thinking when he goes and gets Green in the first inning. Now, they had to be thinking they were going to get Gray or Sabathia. They couldn't have been thinking they were going to get Green in the first inning, right?
You know what? You need strikeouts right there. So,
but that was still an unusual. That's one of his prize pieces in the pen, and he went to him in the first inning.
He didn't have a choice. I wouldn't have been surprised by that if I was a Minnesota Twin. I was surprised that after Chad Green got him out of that situation, you run him out there for maybe one more inning. I thought you were going to see Sonny Gray or CeCe warming up at that point, and then David Robertson comes in and was heroic. But
unbelievable.
Let's flip it for a second. You're Paul Molitor and you're the Minnesota Twins, and you walk into Yankee Stadium and you bang Severino around, and he doesn't get it but one out in the first inning, and then Irvin Santana goes out there and doesn't execute
and walks the first batter.
Pitch.
Walks the first batter. You might as well have just said good night right there. Walks the first batter. I mean, unbelievable.
And Didi was 2 for 17 off.
And after the Didi homer, Santana was done. He was so done, it was ridiculous.
The only problem is that Molitor doesn't have anyone to go to the way.
He's got no pen. No. Once you're in the pen there, once you were in both pens, you knew the game was over. You knew it was over. They just couldn't match up. And the Yankees left runs out there, too. I mean, they definitely did. I mean, they could have had even more. But they did what they did all the time. They strike guys out, and they hit home runs, which is what they do. And Judge looked very comfortable.
He looked really good.
And Chad Green said the thing that's the perfect thing, because if you ever asked and I've asked all of them through the years, and they all say the same thing. You got to slow the game down in the postseason. Slow it down. Chad Green said, I got to slow this down, slow it down. And when I asked Bernie Williams, why do you do so well in the postseason? He says, I just make sure everything slows down.
Yep.
And if you could slow it down and then get it comfortable, and I thought Judge was very comfortable last night.
It's funny you say that, because in 2009 I played in the WBC with Derek Jeter, and we were stretching the first day, and that was the one question I asked him. Why are you so good in the postseason? He goes, because everyone else around me is so nervous that I just tell myself I'm just going to play it the same way.
If you can play the way you always play and feel the way you always feel, that's when you're at your best. And that's what Bernie did. That's what Jeter did. And I thought I saw that in Judge last night. He did not look nervous at all. His first at-bat was a great at-bat. It really was.
He almost went deep. He missed a couple pitches. His
first swing he had was unbelievable.
Awesome.
He would have hit that ball 800 feet. I mean, he just missed it. But that was a very good base hit he got there. He just flipped it out there on a pitch that kind of had him beat. He flipped it out in the center field. That was a good at-bat.
Mike, what I love is, listen, I grew up around here. I was a Yankee fan, and the minute I start getting paid by the Atlanta Braves, you kind of lose your allegiance, so to speak. But, man, was it nice to see that place on fire again last
First time
night.
in a long time.
Since
It's been a long
2009,
time coming.
that place was going absolutely bonkers.
Yep.
It was like old Yankee Stadium. Brett Gardner igniting them, passion. Judge didn't show emotion once all year and hit that homer, came around first, and it was like first day of Little League.
It was, and then you saw Gardy, who didn't like that Santana threw in on him. And when he hit the home run, he kind of even stayed in the box a little longer, which Gardy doesn't do. And he did that because he was a little upset at Santana last night. So, he knew he was throwing inside. And, he started throwing inside, but it was to no avail, clearly. So, but good win for them. All right, let's get to these other series here. First, what kind of chance... Knowing the Yankee pitching, do you give them against Cleveland?
Big one.
Big one, even with all that Cleveland pitching?
I think they're the scariest team in the postseason.
Well, yeah, but you got, who are you counting on in the starting pitching?
All right, we were talking about this today on the show.
Yep.
I love Cleveland's confident attitude that they're going to run out Bauer in Game 1, but it's probably going to rain. It's going to end up being Kluber anyway, the way the weather's looking right now. But you're telling me Bauer, Sonny Gray in Game 1, I don't care where that game's played. I say advantage Sonny Gray. I've been in the box against him. He's nasty.
But he hasn't been, he's been a little up and down. Tanaka's been up and down.
He had the moment, though. I know Bauer's been there, too, and they got Salazar and Clevenger to pick up the slack if he struggles a little bit, but I think my rallying cry, if I was Joe Girardi, would be, hey, let's smack Bauer in the mouth, win Game 1, and then, Kluber, we're just expecting Kluber's going to...
Are you surprised he's pitching Bauer Game 1?
Yes.
Why do you think he is?
I think that Corey Kluber likes pitching on regular rest, the 5 days in succession, and it sets up for him to go Game 2, Game 5, Game 1, 4, 7.
I think that's what he's thinking. I agree with you 100%. And he's rolling
he's rolling the dice on that.
He does, but that's why he's good. That's why he's been so successful. Things he does work. That guy, look at his record in the postseason. He wins. I mean, that's one thing about him. His record's unbelievable in the postseason, Francona. He knows what he's doing.
David Robertson and Chad Green and these guys, they're going to need a minute. They were always putting their shoulder on the plane, so Betances is going to have to step up.
Well, listen, how much of an indictment is that? And I didn't think he'd use him, but the fact on a game that cried for him, he never saw the field. That is an enormous indictment of how little faith they have in Betances right now.
Which, Joe knows better than anybody. Last night everyone says, you could have got him in there. It was a 4-run lead. Why take the chance? Why have him walk two guys
I
and
wouldn't
then
have done that.
I wouldn't have done that. Get the W
not
and get
in a one. You might do that in Game 1 of a long series, not one game series. No chance. No chance. He wasn't playing that way. He had Chapman up in the 8th inning. He was ready to pitch him in the 8th inning if he had to. All right, let me run through the series first. All right, first, tell me, what do you think tonight's game? Give me what your thoughts is on tonight's game. No, it's gotten no attention, but how about the NL game tonight?
John Gray pitching for Colorado Rockies has had a ton of success in Chase Field. Zach Greinke has been a monster at home, but a lot of guys in Colorado's lineup have good numbers off him. I look at it this way: there's nothing Zach Greinke's going to do on the mound tonight that's going to confuse or baffle any of the Colorado Rockies hitters. They've seen him way too much. He's been in the National League West for way too long. If Jonathan Gray can keep it together and pitch around J.D. Martinez, because Goldschmidt kind of limped down the stretch. He had a tough month down the stretch. I think Colorado gets by him.
All right. Now, amazingly, there's not anyone, 98% of the country could care less about that game tonight, as we know. And I don't even think the National League cares about it, to be honest with you. But someone's going to win, and we know the other three teams are all waiting in the wings. List for me in order what you like, top, most likely to win to least likely to win in the National League.
To go to the World Series?
Yes.
Well, on opening day, I took the Los Angeles Dodgers. I can't waver on that.
All right, but do you still believe it?
Yeah, I do. Has
your faith wavered because of their slump?
A little bit. There's some young at-bats in that lineup. There's a lot of moving parts. Dave Roberts, I think, does an amazing job of getting everybody to buy into the team concept. If you can get Puig to bat eighth and be okay with it, I think he's done a great job. I just feel like they've been the best team in the National League start to finish. They can roll Clayton Kershaw out there and Yu Darvish. I believe that Yu Darvish can pitch to a 1 when he's right. Rich Hill, I just think they match up starting pitching-wise against anybody. Man, I wish Max Scherzer. I'm really interested. I think we talked about this today on the show. I think Steven Strasburg's got a ton of pressure on him to step up in Game 1. I think Washington's the better team this year, so I would put them 2. I would put the Cubs 3, and then whoever wins the wild card game, I would put 4.
Boy, and the Dodgers and Washington, a lot of pressure. You know, the Cubs are in a great spot.
They really are.
They won last year. They kind of walk through this year, and they have no pressure on them. Nobody's expecting anything out of them. They got 2 teams that have had nothing but a lot of obstacles and a lot of heavy stuff to carry in the postseason, the Dodgers and the Nationals. I love being – if I were the Cubs, I'd love being in that position right now.
My only thing, though, Mike, with the Cubs, and they played unbelievable in the second half, win-loss record-wise. Lester and Arrieta have never gotten – on fire this year, where they've had like monster months, where they're like, I mean, if you look at Straz's numbers and Scherzer's, these guys have been good from
no, their
start
starting
to
pitches are better. Their starting pitching's better,
and I think their lineup's better.
I just don't trust their bullpen.
Washington,
yes. Plus, and I'm going to be fair here, and I like him personally. Dusty, you can always count on him to do something a little weird in the postseason. I mean, that's the one thing.
Well, I think he's got the pieces where it's really
he's going to do something wacky.
Something drastic.
Yeah, he'll pull someone out of the game at the wrong point. Or listen, he's had a history of it, and I like Dusty, but I'm right.
Oh, I just think there's, like I said, there's so much to go around. Gio Gonzalez had a monster year. They had 3 guys in the starting rotation with sub-3s. Their lineup's deep. I mean, I think they could have been. I mean, Harper makes them a heck of a lot better, without question. But even if he doesn't swing the bat the way he's capable of, Daniel Murphy and Rendon.
Who scares you
Zimmerman,
more in that lineup? What guy in that lineup are you most afraid of in a big spot on Washington?
Daniel Murphy.
Okay, that's a compliment because they got some good players on that team.
I think he gives you the most professional at bat every time up.
So you think the Dodgers, and then who's second? Washington?
Yeah.
And then the Cubbies, okay.
Yeah, and then whoever wins tonight.
All right, now, Houston, Boston. We're talking with Mark DeRosa, MLB Network. You can watch all the stuff there. They got games there, all the stuff. Just turn on the MLB Network, and they can battle it out.
I like Houston.
You like Houston? Does Game 1 winner win that series? Does Game 1 tilt that series to the team?
I think Boston has to win Game 1.
I agree.
I don't think Houston has to win it.
I think they do too. I agree with you.
I feel like...
And there's pressure on Price.
Big pressure on Price. And how many days can you use them? And when are you going to deploy them? And Chris Sale's got to dominate. Chris Sale has to dominate. I feel like... Pedroia's been banged up. Nunez been banged up. Mookie Betts' wrist has been banged up. Hanley hasn't hit all year. Is this all going to come together at the right time? I don't see it. I love their bullpen. I just think Houston has just got monsters up and down the lineup. I think Sale's got his hands full tomorrow. I really do.
All right. So you like Houston, and you like the Yankees over Cleveland?
No.
You like Cleveland, right?
Yeah,
I mean Cleveland right now. Cleveland's the best team in baseball, right?
Yeah, I think top to bottom,
yes.
They leave nothing to be desired. I mean, pitching staff. If Bauer gets in trouble, you can bring in Clevenger or Salazar,
and they have the best manager, and they have a great deep lineup. A tremendously deep lineup of good players. Like not one guy. What I like about that lineup is not one guy has to carry that team.
Exactly. We don't even talk about Edwin Encarnacion, and he went 30 and 90 again. We love on Lindor, Jose Ramirez.
But Ramirez has been their best player.
And Jay Bruce. Don't sleep on Jay Bruce in that lineup.
Jay Bruce has done really well there.
Yeah.
He really fit in very well. And they got a very versatile bullpen.
You're 100% right.
Listen, the Yankees are in a great spot because they got house money now. They had to win last night.
Yes.
There was a lot of pressure on them last night. They won the game. Now they're a young team with a wonderfully promising nucleus. They can have fun here, and if they lose, they lose. So be it. It's not a big deal. They'll be back.
They're so scary, though. They're so scary because I know they're playing with house money, but I think they're as talented a team as there is in the big leagues. I really do believe that. Didi Gregorius has taken a step forward. They're 2-3-4 right there. 52 homers. The guy set the record for most homers by a Yankee catcher all time, and then Didi backs him up. The bullpen is on point. I think Sonny Gray is way underrated. Underrated. Tanaka was nails down the stretch.
One game. He's up and down. The last game he was unbelievable. They had the cars double parked. You know that. Tell the truth. Did they have the cars double parked or not?
No chance.
They did too. You don't think Toronto had the cars double parked?
Yeah, they did.
They did. They were swinging at anything. Are you kidding? He struck out 9,000 guys. They had the cars all double parked. They had the furniture. They had the kids in the cars. The whole thing. They were ready to go. You know, how many big games are pitched the last 2 weeks of the season when nobody cares?
A lot of them.
A lot. You want to get the games are an hour 55 minutes and the cars are parked.
Yeah, last game of the season. If you're not in it, it's like swing at the first pitch and let's get out of here.
Let's go home. I got a tea time. All right. You know, the old days used to be hunting and fishing. Now it's tea times. Nobody hunts and fishes anymore, right?
I don't.
No, I mean, the old days, baseball players used to like give the impression they hunted and fished. Now you guys play golf, right?
I try and play as much as humanly possible.
What's your handicap?
7.
That was 7. Jeez.
I'm all right.
Playing a lot if you're a 7. Jeez, now I know what you do for a living. You know, you don't do this.
The show goes off the air at 1.
I mean, geez, 7. Man.
I'm hitting there's a lot of nice courses around here.
I know. What's your favorite course in New Jersey?
Wow, that's a tough one. I just played Baltusrol last week, and that was unbelievable.
How you like the 600-yard hole? How good is that?
Yeah, unbelievable.
That's a great course.
Amazing course. We played the upper course, too, not the lower one that they played the tournament on. Just
beautiful. Really, one of the best tracks in the country. Great course, yes. Talk about Mark DeRosa. So you're telling me, chalk, it's Cleveland and the Dodgers? Is that what you're thinking?
Cleveland and the Dodgers, and I'm going to stay with L.A.
I'm staying with my preseason, which was Cleveland Cubs. That was my preseason.
A repeat?
A repeat, yes.
And who wins it?
Indians.
Okay.
That was my preseason. Was those two? The Dodgers and Washington are snake bit. They both are snake bit. Which one is going to finally not be snake bit this year?
I feel like
And do you think that you've been in those locker rooms?
I was there in 2012. We should have won that series against St. Louis.
When does it start to creep in that when do they get those feelings again? Those feelings do show up, right? That they're snake bit, right?
Yeah, they'll think about it. I think the Nationals, this year's team, is so much more talented than any other team they ever went into the postseason with. That I feel like they can override it. Now, listen, they're going to stare a monster, the defending champs, in the mouth, but I don't think that they have or should have the same respect for the Cubs that they did last year. I don't think the Cubs are playing like that. I could be dead, I could be dead wrong. Schwarber could go deep and hit a 3-run bomb and turn this whole thing on its ear. I just don't feel like. And maybe that's through a fault of us in the media not like loving on the Cubs enough this year because they didn't get off to the hot start. I just think they've laid in the weeds and they haven't had monster seasons the way the Nats have.
Talking with Mark DeRosa. Now, listen, you were a guy who got big hits. You were good at getting big hits. That was what you were good at. Give me the guy on each team that's
wow.
Who's the guy on the Dodgers that you think I don't want to pitch to this guy? And the tying runs at second. I'm in the box.
Turner.
Who's the guy?
Turner.
All right, I could see that. Okay, and you already said Murphy.
Yeah.
Who's the guy on the Cubs?
Anthony Rizzo.
All right, and on the Red Sox.
I mean, I guess you'd say Mookie Betts, but with his wrist banged up,
he hasn't had a great year.
Yeah, he hasn't. I think the guy who gives you the most professional AB
Benintendi
is Benintendi.
I like him too. He killed the Yankees too. Houston, which guy? Altuve or someone else?
Yeah, I mean, that goes without saying. But even though Altuve is going to fight with Judge for the MVP, which in my mind it's Aaron Judge, I still think Carlos Correa is the franchise player on that team.
Right, he definitely is. I mean, he's the leading man. I don't think there's any question. He's the leading man. But Altuve is the guy. You want the guy who's going to give you the blood and guts at bat. Like to me on the Yankees, it's Didi. If you ask me who's the guy on the Yankees, it's Didi. I mean,
I think you're right.
Last night, my guys will tell you, and the first thing I told the guys, I said, Didi's going to tie the game up right here. I've seen him get so many big hits this year, so many times. To me, listen, he's not going to hit 50 home runs ever. I understand what Judge is, but this guy gets big hits all the time. Just like what you said about Murphy's true. Murphy gets good at bats. He just does in these spots. He gets really good at bats.
Quality at bats.
He's going to hit the ball hard somewhere.
And that's how Gardner's been down the stretch for
He's a clutch guy, too. He
really has. He wants the moment. That's the beauty of the postseason. You talk about getting big hits. I believe this in my heart. Over 162 games, talent wins out. Like, the guys who are more talented are going to hit the homers and going to have the batting averages and the OPSs. But in the postseason, it's a different animal. Some guys rise to the occasion. Some guys really don't want to be up in those big spots.
And I always look for where the pressure is. Where's the pressure? There's a lot of pressure on Kershaw and the Dodgers to win a championship. Let's be honest. There is. There's a lot of pressure. And there's pressure on Washington, too, but the Dodgers first. In the American League, maybe a little on the Indians, but not a lot. Not a lot because they're still the Indians. The Red Sox know. Yankees, of course, know. Houston, not even yet. But in the National League, the Dodgers are carrying a piano on their back into this series, into this postseason. They need to win.
You're right. I'll play the other side of it, though. I think the pressure, Strasburg needs to put the naysayers to bed.
Okay,
I was there in 2012 when he didn't take the ball through no fault of his own. They told us in spring training. No one works harder. No one's people don't understand him. He's a quiet, reserved guy, but he's got a fire in his belly, and I think he wants to shut some people up.
All right, we're talking about Mark DeRosa. If I give you one game in these postseason, and I say I got to win this game, back to the wall, I need this game. I'm down 3-2. I'm down 2-0, whatever it might be. I got to have this game. The logical suspects are Kershaw, Scherzer, all right, Verlander, Kluber, Sale.
Yeah.
Okay, we take all the aces.
Yeah.
What guy do you have the most faith in that he's going to give me the monster? I mean, the no-brainer, 3-hitter, 8 innings. You didn't have a chance when you left the dugout game.
Wow. This year it's Corey Kluber.
Over everybody else.
Over everybody else.
That's a testimony. I agree with you about Kluber this year. I happen to agree with that. So I wanted to see. I thought you might pick Verlander because you seem to be.
I love Verlander.
You seem to be drinking the potion right now with Verlander. So I think I thought you might say him.
Mike Verlander on his best day is the best right-handed pitcher I ever stepped in the box against.
Wow, ever.
Day game in Comerica, I can picture it. It's 2005. I had never faced him, and I caught Clemens at the end.
Right.
I caught Pedro at the end. Kevin Brown at the end. Verlander in his prime, 98 to 100 with a breaking ball, was
just dirty. Right?
I've never seen it.
Yeah, ugly.
Yeah, get out of here.
Yeah. So really, okay. So Verlander can be that good. Now, you have more faith in Strasburg or Max Scherzer?
Scherzer.
Oh, without question. I don't even.
I like Lester over Arrieta too.
You do.
Yeah, he's battle tested.
I agree with that. I would agree with that. And do you think Kershaw? It's funny. Kershaw is brilliant in the regular season. He's untouchable. He has to bring some of that into the postseason.
He does. Well, St. Louis has been his one bugaboo.
Right.
I mean, he's dominated.
But he's so good. Why is he? He's got to be as good at least once in the postseason. He's got to be he's got to be like Bumgarner. He's got to be untouchable.
You're right, Mike. And I don't have the answer as to why he's not. I mean, he's effectively wild. I think the slider has made him almost unhittable.
He's not afraid.
No, he wants it.
Right.
Yeah, he's run into a team that's had his number, and it's kind of skewed the numbers.
But he's also hung some pitches in those spots.
He has.
I
look at Corey Kluber, and I'm just like, he went on a run on short rest in that postseason last year that's been unrivaled. He went on a run this year where Sale had that Cy Young dead to right.
Right now, and now he won't get a sniff. He won't get a sniff.
He walked him down.
He did. He killed him. So Cleveland and the Dodgers.
Yeah.
Very boring picks from you. Very, very boring. I'm still stunned that you're a 7 handicap. I'm trying to get over that. A 7. Jeez. I mean, that's unbelievable. All right. Thanks very much. We'll be watching.